Hi guys, welcome to today's edition of Solving Equations. Today we're looking at multiplying and dividing with an equation. So we're still using the inverse operation to solve equations. And today we're going to apply the inverse operation for multiplication and division. Remember, multiplication and division are inverse operations of each other. So in an equation that looks very simply, that looks like this, 4x equals 8. You know the answer is 2. But the operation you see happening here is multiplication. So you've got to do the inverse, which is division. Show that procedure. Show that step. Sebastian, I'm talking to you. Don't skip those steps, right? This is a division bar. So you're dividing both sides of the equation by 4 to isolate the variable. 4 divided by 4 gives you 1. And you know the answer is 2, but now you've proven it. Remember to check it, right? You rewrite your equation, 4x equals 8. And instead of the variable, you're going to substitute the value that you found. 4 times 2 equals 8, question mark. We're trying to check that. 4 times 2 we know is 8. So your answer is correct. The problems won't stay this simple though. Make sure you are applying the steps that we've looked at. Isolate the variable by applying the inverse operation. Because when the problems get more complicated, class, when you guys see something like, so this was example 1, when you see something like the following example, you know that the procedure has not changed. If you have C divided by 11.2 equals 364.2. Oh, it's a doozy. It's got the decimals here. The rules, guys, are exactly the same. We want to isolate the variable C, by getting rid of everything else that's around that variable C. In this case, because we have C divided by 11.2, since there's already division, we want to do the opposite of that. So we are going to multiply this side by 11.2 over 1. If we multiply it like this, 11.2 and 11.2 down here can cross cancel. And what I do to one side, I will do to the other side. Okay, so these guys here cancel out. Now my C is by itself. And I will complete this operation here on the side. Please don't skip any steps, guys. It is really important, especially now that the numbers are unfriendly. Make sure you follow these steps. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 2 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Move on to the next one. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 2 is 4. 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 3 is 3. Repeat that for the next number. 1 times 2 is 2, 4, 6, and 3. Add them all up. 4, 8 plus 2 is 10, so I write my 0, carry the 1. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 7 plus 6 is 13, plus 4 is 17, carry the 1. 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Carry my 1, and that gives me a 4. And I've got 2 digits behind the decimal in the question. That's how many I want in my answer. So the answer here is 4,079 and 400. You guys know now we also have to check our work. So you would do that by substituting. And that's how we're going to approach these equations, guys. Remember, we also want to make sure we check our work. So I'm going to rewrite the equation here. And after I rewrite it, instead of writing my variable, I'm going to substitute the value I found, which was 4,079.04 divided by 11.c. So to get my answer, I multiplied by 11.c. To check if my answer is correct, I will divide by 11.c. I'm going to do that on a separate sheet of paper because, as you can see, I'm running out of space here. So I'm going to divide 4,079.04 divided by 11.2. So I'm going to rewrite it here. 11.2 is my divisor. 4,079.04 is my dividend. These are very big, very unfriendly numbers, everybody. So make sure you take your time. Make sure you do one thing at a time. The first thing I'm going to do here is, since I've got a decimal in my divisor, I am going to do my shortcut and move it. And if I move this one space over, I'm going to move this one space over. So I'm really dividing 112 into 40,790.4. Okay, now I know 112 can go into 407 3 times. Let's make sure I'm doing the multiplication over here on the side. You can't see, but it's 3 times. So 3 times 112. Well, you can't see it, but look, I'll move it over. There it is. Now you can see it. Okay, so 3 times, which is 336. Subtract that. 7 minus 6 is 1. I'm going to borrow from that 4, make it a 3. And that's a 10. Minus 3 is 7. Bring down my 9. 112 goes into 719. My guess is 6 times. If you have a calculator handy, you are welcome to use it. It makes your work a lot faster. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And then 6 times 1 is 6. 672. So 112 goes into 719 6 times. And 6 times 112 is 672. Very large, very unfriendly numbers, guys. So take your time. 11 minus 7 is 4. Bring down the 0. 112 goes into 470 4 times. Let's just double check. I'm known to make mistakes, everybody, when I'm working too fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times for 448. So, and if I make any mistakes in here, guys, if you catch my mistakes, let me know, please. 448. I believe mistakes are wonderful opportunities to learn and reflect. And I know my biggest mistakes occur when I'm working too fast. Okay, so I bring down my 4, bring up my decimal. 112 goes into 224 exactly 2 times. Is that correct? 112 times 2, it's 422. Perfect. So I've got no remainder, and I got 364.2, which is what I was aiming for here. Is my answer correct? Yes, it is. So I got 364.2 equals 364.2. And guys, the point is, take your time, double check your work. This is like a puzzle that you're figuring out. Apply the rules and you will get to the answer, right? You'll get to you'll solve the mystery. You will also see other. I want to show you 2 more examples here, guys. You're going to see fractions in your practice right now. Fractions, and you might see the equations written with a division sign instead of a fraction bar. I want to show you what to do with those. So I'm going to show you 2 more examples here. The first example is if you have something that looks like this. X multiplied by 2 3/4 equals 14 1/5. If you have a problem that looks like this, guys, we have here a mixed number. Don't work with that mixed number. These are not friendly numbers. Turn it into an improper fraction. So 2 times 4 plus 3. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 3 is 11. I'm going to write it on this side. 11/4 times x equals, I'm going to do the same thing here. 14 times 5. And I don't like doing these operations in my head. I know some of you are awesome at it. I am not. 4 times 5 is 20. Carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. So I've got 70. 14 times 5 is 70 plus 1 is 71/5. Okay, now how am I going to solve it? Well, the same way we did with the other ones, guys, except if you've got this fraction here and I'm multiplying, I want to isolate my variable x. But I want to get rid of this guy right here. And I've got 11/4. Can I multiply on the left by the inverse fraction 4/11 to turn this into a 1? 4/11 multiplied by 11/4 becomes 1 whole, right? Because 4 times 11 is 44. 11 times 4 is 44, which is 1. And what I do to one side, I will do to the other side, right? These will cancel out. So I've got my x by itself, which is what I wanted. I've isolated the variable, and now I'm just going to go ahead and multiply these. I can't simplify or cross cancel in any way. So 71 times 4 is 284, and 11 times 5 is 55. Now your job would be to simplify it and check it, and you should get the same answer when I substitute, right? 284/55 multiplied by 2 3/4 will give me 14 1/5. Okay. The second example I'm going to give you is one you will see in your independent practice. You'll see it written with a division symbol instead of a division bar, but you will approach it the same way, okay? So if you have, for example, a problem that looks like this, 70 equals y divided by 5, okay? Well, if it says y divided by 5, I can rewrite it as 70 equals y divided by 5. I can use my division bar here, multiply both sides by 5, because what I do to one side, I will do to the other. These cancel out, which is now y by itself, and 5 times 70 is 350. And that's my answer, guys. Make sure you check it. You'll notice I skipped checking this one up here because those numbers are so unfriendly and I want to save on time. So I'm going to rewrite my equation, y divided by 5. Instead of variable y, I'm going to substitute with the value that I found here, so 350 divided by 5 equals 70, question mark, does it? 35 divided by 5 is 7, so 350 divided by 5 is 70. And our answer is correct here. Okay, try your best. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here for you, and we'll meet on Schoology. Okay, I'll see you guys in a bit.